A dragon is no slave.
She said it to the slavers of Astapor. She meant it as power. But Drogon heard it too, and he took her at her word. Daenerys didn't hatch Drogon, she paid for him. 3 lives traded one by one before that black egg ever cracked open. Her husband, her unborn son, a maegi burned alive on a funeral pyre. That's the price the world paid for one dragon, and the part of the story most fans never sit with long enough to feel. Because Drogon isn't Daenerys' child. Not really. He's something much older that chose her. And by the end of this video, you're going to understand why the mother of dragons might be one of the most haunting lies in the entire saga. Let's go back to the egg. Magister Illyrio Mopatis gave Daenerys 3 petrified dragon eggs as a wedding gift. Drogon's was black as the midnight sea, with ripples and swirls of vivid scarlet, stone, cold. The kind of relic the maesters had insisted for 150 years could never hatch again. The last dragon, a small, stunted green female with withered wings, had died in 153 AC during the reign of Aegon III, the Dragonbane. Many in the world believed magic itself had waned the day the last dragon died. Then Khal Drogo took a wound. The wound festered. Daenerys begged the Magi Meereen Maz-Duur to save him with blood magic, and Meereen agreed. Meereen warned her, only death could pay for life, but Daenerys did not understand the full weight of those words until it was too late. When her son Rhaego was carved out of her womb, monstrous, scaled and dead, the price became clear. Only death may pay for life. Drogo came back wrong. A breathing corpse, eyes empty. Daenerys ended him with a pillow. Then she built the pyre. She bound Meereen Maz-Duur to the wood, alive and screaming. She placed all 3 stone eggs against Drogo's body. And when the first star, a fire-red comet, appeared in the sky, she walked into the flames. In the morning, she crawled out of the ashes naked, unburnt, with 3 living hatchlings clinging to her body. So count the price. Drogo, Rhaego, Meereen, 3 lives for 3 dragons. And the largest hatchling, black scales slashed with scarlet, wings the color of blood. She named after the husband she had just killed. That's not a child. That's a debt. Now here's the part most viewers gloss over. Drogon was different from the start. Bolder, first to fly. As Daenerys sailed west across the summer sea, Drogon was the first to leave her shoulder and flap from ship to ship above the open water. He was the first to kill flaming fish as they leapt out of the waves, snatching them in his jaws, eating them mid-air. The other 2 followed. Drogon led. In the House of the Undying in Korth, when the warlocks tried to chain Daenerys to her own visions and feed on her, it was Drogon who burned the pulsating heart of their magic and tore through the temple. He saved her. Not Jorah, not the Dothraki, the dragon. And then Astapor. Daenerys appeared to trade Drogon. Cold, deliberate, 8,000 unsullied for 1 dragon. She handed his chain to the slaver Krasny's Monoclos and walked away with the golden scourge that meant absolute command of the unsullied army. The deal looked done. The dragon looked sold. But the bargain was a blade hidden in silk. Daenerys had understood Krasnys' High Valyrian the entire time. Every insult, every sneer, every word he thought she couldn't hear. She had heard all of it. The slavers thought they were buying a weapon. They were buying their own funeral. Krasnys couldn't hold the chain. Drogon would not obey him. And Daenerys, in High Valyrian, said the words that broke the city. A dragon is no slave. Then she said Dracarys, and Drogon turned Krasnys into ash where he stood. That's the part most fans miss. The trade was theater. Daenerys walked into Astapor with the trap already loaded, fluent in their tongue, knowing exactly what a dragon would and would not allow. She used her own son as bait, and Drogon was happy to play the part, right up until the moment he wasn't. By Meereen, the gap had become a gulf. Drogon was flying farther and farther from the city. He could devour a sheep a day. He vanished for weeks at a time into the Dothraki Sea. And then a man came to her audience chamber carrying a sack of charred bones, claiming the Black One, the winged shadow, had killed and eaten his daughter. A little girl named Hazia. Daenerys ordered all 3 dragons captured. Viserion and Rhaegal were eventually chained in a makeshift pit beneath the Great Pyramid, but not without cost. Some of the bravest men of Meereen tried 3 times to capture Drogon. He burned most of them. He killed 4. The mother of dragons couldn't catch her own son. So you might think the moment in the fighting pits redeemed all of this. The famous scene at Daznak's pit, Drogon descending out of the sky, drawn by the noise and the smell of blood, Daenerys leaping into the arena, taming him with a whip and climbing onto his back, becoming the first dragon rider in a century and a half. But read it again. Read what actually happens. Drogon doesn't come for her. He comes for the blood. He kills a boar. He starts to feed. When the handler Hargaz attacks him with a spear, Drogon nearly dies. The spear sinks deep, and he and Daenerys scream as one, because that bond goes both ways, and pain travels through it. Daenerys runs to him because she has no choice. His Dar is shouting for the guards to kill her dragon, so she drives him with a whip, climbs onto his back, and Drogon takes off. He doesn't fly her to safety. He doesn't fly her home. He flies her away. Days later, she's lying in his lair in the Dothraki Sea, sick, bleeding, half-starved, slipping in and out of hallucination, her hair burnt off, her clothes in rags. She tries to command Drogon back to Meereen. He refuses. She tries to walk back herself. She can't. In the end, she calls him to her. He kills a wild horse, and they tear into the carcass together, queen and dragon, eating raw meat in the grass like two animals who have stopped pretending to be anything else. That's where the books leave Drogon. Not as a war machine, not as Balerion reborn, as something older and wilder than the woman who hatched him, a creature who saved her, served her, refused her, and finally pulled her out of her own city and back into the wilderness she came from. And here's the final thing that should reframe him completely. The warlocks in the House of the Undying gave Daenerys 3 prophecies, 3 fires she would light, one for life, one for death, one for love. 3 mounts she would ride, one to bed, one to dread, one to love. 3 treasons she would suffer, for blood, for gold, and for love. The text never tells us which fire is which. But it may be that Drogo's pyre was the fire for death. Miri's screams, Rhaego's stillborn body, the husband she ended with her own hands. If that's true, Drogon was forged in the fire of death, named after the husband she killed, and the maesters had spent 150 years insisting magic itself was gone from the world. It wasn't, or maybe it was, and something older was waiting for the price to be paid. 3 lives, 1 comet, 1 woman willing to walk into the flames. What answers a call like that? The books don't say. Daenerys calls him her son. The Dothraki call him the winged shadow. The Meereenese call him the bringer of the death of children. But the dragon she calls Drogon was bought with 3 souls before he ever cracked his shell. And whatever cracked him open that night, she still doesn't truly own it. I'm your maester at the Black Dread. Maester Black, out.